I came across this one article. It's a blogger. His name is I want to make sure I give him credit. His name is Josh Beiser, and he posted this on August 30th. And the theme of this is, why are live service games struggling, and what can they learn from highly profitable and popular gacha games? The article starts out by saying that gacha games, which some may really oppose, still need to understand that these games make serious money. We're talking $40 to $50 million a month. Think about that. He also said that the more traditional studios have been trying to chase this approach for years now. But he says these gacha game studios approach live service and monetization from two very specific points that everyone else seems to miss. The traditional gaming studios from the mid 2000s to early 2010s, they would do something called, I think it was called Fun Pain. Basically what they would do is the devs would create intentional barriers and frustration in the game to get someone to spend money to get rid of them, like ads and YouTube. Shit. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
by the way, I've watched 100 of them on this stream tonight.
Well, since 2016, they've kind of made it about face, and their approach is more like catching flies with honey kind of approach. But the fact is that every single AAA developer has been unable to compete with their live service games compared to mobile games. And he gives a bunch of reasons here, and I'm going to just fly all over the place here. But the first thing is they do continued development, meaning that these live service games, they provide updates to the game all the time, updates that change the current state of the game. And not only things like new characters, but also things like seasonal events, story reruns, and new stories, gameplay events, and mini games, which, to the point, Destiny 2 today does a lot of these things. The episodes are still hit or miss. Time will tell on that. You know, they've got the exotic missions. They do the sandbox updates. They have the Halloween events, and the summer they just had the solstice event. And they even change modifiers in GMs and the Crucible. Iron Banner pops around. Trials comes out. So they always have events every week that they're bringing out. But he said a lot of games rely on player-generated content. In other words, multiplayer, being that the players are the content. And long term, he's saying that this will not work. He does mention that live service games need to leave in a standard version of the game, and that the content needs to be evergreen, meaning players can rerun the missions and give the new players a chance to jump into what they might have missed. Looking at you, Bungie, taking away Red War. But he even goes further to say that the worst thing a studio can do is make their content playable only once. Campaigns and storylines on rails. That come to anybody's attention? But here's the thing that got me thinking. What happens when the season and episode ends? The reward track for that season disappears, meaning that if I was to come back and play episode 1 6 months from now, and I'm talking about Destiny, of course, that I would not get to complete the reward track for all of those ornaments, those cool ships, the shaders, the armor, the weapons. You get my point. Why spend all that time to create that content only to blow it up when the season ends? This is why I thought that for the year, the season pass bar, that goes to 200 in episode 1, what if it goes to 201 to 400 in episode 2? At least for the entire content year, it should all be available, right? Because they said when they talked about episodes in Destiny that you could play them anytime. There was no FOMO. You can come back to them any time of the year and play the entire episode. But I think with the season resets they're just kind of going against the long form content and playability. He gives two standouts here, and this is the one that it really kills me to say this. Warframe. Warframe, they sell resources and items that are required for their quest and certain events, but everything that is needed to play the game can just be earned through general gameplay. This means this goes back to my idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
This goes back to my idea that bright dust should be earnable in game from playing the game, not just from spoonfuls that they give you from doling out from repeatable bounties and like the seasonal like solstice event, or this extensive Pathfinder that you only can do limited amounts of time, by the way. I think it's the first 5 that give you the bright dust, and it's like 120, 150 bright dust at a time. When a ship costs 3,000 bright dust, how long are you going to have to do to get that ship that you want? And here's the thing. The ships rotate. They disappear. So it's always a rotating things that you're trying to earn in game. This game came out. I remember playing Warframe when it came out. It came out in 2014, right before Destiny did. I remember getting my PS4, PS3, PS4, and it was free on the PlayStation Network. And I plugged it in. I downloaded it. It's sad to say, but I just can't play Warframe. The movement is too herky-jerky. I actually got motion sickness playing this, and I play virtual reality games. I'm punching stuff. I'm play all these different things. I never get motion sickness. But Warframe, for some reason, I started playing it and I just got motion sickness. The camera work is so jerky, and then the color palette is weird. And I know they've improved the color palette with stuff they brought out. But I know it was a lot to talk about in this article. But what I seem to get from this blog was that studios need to create a game that stands out and is fun to play without taking out things that are essential to the core game and putting it behind a paywall. Second, these live service worlds need to keep everything available to anyone who wants to either simply buy it or, more importantly, have it earnable in game. Think of all the dev time making the content, only for it to be thrown away once a season ends. They do this in Fortnite too, I believe, right? The season ends and it's gone. I mean, it's and Call of Duty, you play the season, it's gone. Even though I didn't really like the feel of Warframe, they keep everything in the game. All the content in the game is ready to play or earn or buy. I tell you what, Bungie needs to take a serious look at Digital Extremes, because what I've seen, their community, if you look at their player numbers, continue to grow steadily versus Destiny's player base that seesaws when content comes out. And I think if Destiny looked at Digital Extremes and Warframe and saw how loyal their players are, the fact that they don't sunset anything, they keep everything into the game. I mean, their store is extensive. I looked at that store and I was like, I could spend $5,000 and not have everything in the store. It's nuts.
Oh yeah.
But let's look at Concord, that 5-player hero shooter. It was totally dated, but I think that might be the canary in the coal mine for other studios out there that are kind of thinking about that multiplayer method. But I still have my fingers crossed for Marathon. I really want it to succeed, but we'll just have to see what happens there. But games like Genshin Impact have crazy amount of content, and it's always there for new players to discover. I don't know. I was reading this article, and I'm sorry, I'm all over the place on this, but the basic theme here is quit making seasonal content that goes away.
And sunsetting shit. What?
And getting rid of storylines. What do you guys think?
I'm a big World of Warcraft player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if Destiny did everything like that, it'd be a massive game size, which I'd be okay installing that to have this. But everything that has ever been in WoW is in WoW, right? If you want to go grind old raids for mounts, any gear you pick up, you can transmog any piece of gear to look like another piece of gear, right? There's reasons to go back and run all this old content. If you run out of stuff to do, you go run all the old stuff. It's one of my favorite things to do, right? Yeah. Final Fantasy 14 does this. Mm-hmm. I know that's another reason Warframe has done very well. Yeah. If a bunch of raids in Destiny 2 weren't sunset, I would still love to go play Original Leviathan is my favorite raid,
it's
right?
My favorite too.
I would love to run people through that. It's such a good first raid experience, right? Yeah. But another thing with what you're talking about here is like there was a period of time where a lot of these live service games relied heavily on that FOMO aspect, yes, which is why you had here's our battle pass, right? Or with seasonal content, and when it's gone, it's gone. You need to be here to experience that. And there was a time where that worked, right? Players, FOMO hurt people, right?
Yes.
They had to be a part of this.
Right.
But we got to a point where there's so many different games now that are hitting things right, that aren't being predatory with your time and such, that like when that happens, they can easily go, all right, well, I guess I'll just miss out on that and move on to something else. To bring up Helldivers 2 for the 7th time tonight, right?
That's fine.
That's a newer game that came out this year where they have, it's not like a battle pass with a season, right? They bring out these, oh, Gator, what are they called? Please tell me.
War bonds.
War bonds. Thank you. War bonds, right? And it's not like a set period of time and then that war bond's gone. Every war bond they put in the game, you can grind and earn it in game, right? To unlock the skins, emotes, all that kind of stuff, but they're all there.
Right.
You can load Helldivers 2 right now for the first time. And the first one through the newest one that just came out 2 days ago is all there in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can grind out the stuff to earn them in game. The currency's earnable in game. You can grind the hell of it to get it or pay the money, right? To unlock all the stuff.
Exactly.
But all that content is there for you to do.
Yep.
And you're right. Gamers just aren't falling for FOMO anymore. It's a thing that a lot of people really leached onto as you need to stay in our game or else you miss things. And it doesn't work anymore.
30 and Still Gaming in the chat nailed it. MMOs back in the day, you stopped playing for the month. You were done playing. The game you had to pay to play it. That's the way mobile games are making so much money now. Because my wife loves Bejeweled. She around? She's already in bed.
Oh yeah, Bejeweled.
She will spend freaking gold coins to keep playing. Keep playing the content, but it's always more content. They're paying for more content. I don't know how that would play in like a Destiny game. I don't know how that would translate.
It's also interesting because like in a mobile game to like, the classic, like, oh, I ran out of energy.
Yeah.
Like it's like $1 or $2 here and there.
They nickel and dime you to death. I fell for it.
Yeah, which adds up over time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you don't, that's why they're making so much money, because you as the consumer, which is not something I want to see in my games, obviously, don't realize you're getting nickel and dimed and eventually it adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, when you're playing your thing and you look at a thing, it's $40 in the shop anymore. Like an Apex skin is like $30 anymore, right? So it's like, you're not going to do that. There's obviously the whales that do it, but there's not as many people hitting that. What I'm worried with this article is that that's going to be a thing that people realize, and then they can nickel and dime and things. But, is it First Descendant or Last Descendant? What's the game called?
I was just going to bring it up.
First Descendant. Yeah.
Man.
Where they have that same thing. You can pay money to skip a lot of the grind.
Yeah.
But you still can spend the time to grind it out if you want. And they've made a ton of money from that because it doesn't feel predatory. It still, in a way, is, but you can spend the insane extra amount of time to just get the content anyway.
Yep.
Gator, can you imagine? I'll go ahead. Can you imagine if the Eververse store stuff never went away? This crazy ship that just popped up for this episode, for this Act 3 episode, because they refresh stuff all the time. Can you imagine? I mean, and they do have a little bit of you can go back in the seasons and get stuff, armor, ornaments and stuff. Can you imagine if a new player came into Destiny and the first place they sent you was to Red War? You play through the Red War campaign, you're stripped. You have no weapons. You're starting from scratch. You're going down into not the Cosmodrome, the other area, the forest.
Oh, EDZ.
The EDZ, scrounging and trying to find an old rusty sidearm. Man, that's how you get a new player into Destiny. And then, but instead of taking away Leviathan and I mean, we can say that Destiny 1 was another game. We can excuse that part. But can you imagine, and this is why I always came up with the Destiny Online thing. From long ago, I said these are assets they put in Destiny 1, FUD. And what if they shifted everything and they gave you everything that Destiny has ever put out in the game, Destiny 1 or Destiny 2, Destiny Online. And you could earn whatever you wanted You could look at everything that was available out there, and and Destiny and Bungie has done well. If you scroll over something, it'll tell you in most cases what you need to do to get that to drop for you or to earn it. That is definitely something they've improved over time. But can you imagine if there was no sunsetting, no maximum amounts that you had to keep in your vault? Your vault was unlimited. Or let's just say I've come up with this idea as well. Make a pattern for it that where anytime you want to try that gun, every role you've unlocked, if you've unlocked Kill Clip and Head Seeker on that, when you bring that gun out of collections, instead of it just being the blue weapons now that they give you, what if you could bring out any weapon you wanted to and go through all the roles that you've played to get for that gun, even if it's crafted, all the stuff that you've gotten crafted, you could bring back and create that weapon again. In fact, doesn't Warframe do that? Don't they have like a 3D printer where you can actually make stuff, bring stuff?
I think so. I've never played it.
I haven't played it in ages. I haven't played it in ages, but I just I get motion sickness playing it. It's too bad because it sounds like a fun game.
Yeah, Warframe does have a thing where like if you go and collect stuff, you can build it and go on and do other stuff. It builds on your ship and you can come back and pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This article, the basis of this article was how it was all about game design. It was how to design your game. And he went into all kinds of extremes here. And I was just trying to give you the TLDR version. That's why I was bouncing all over the place here. But the gaming studios out there are trying to do what the mobile games are doing. And maybe that's the reason why Destiny's coming out with a mobile game. But I'll mention this again. What if this Destiny Rising leak about this mobile game, and it's just character based, kind of like the beginning of Destiny? I know, Gator shaking his head. What if they release this game everywhere, not just mobile? What if there was a Destiny Rising game that came to PlayStation tomorrow? All people who want to try Destiny could jump in and find out all the beginning roots of Destiny, and then jump into Destiny 2 or Destiny 1 or whatever and keep playing. I don't know. But it just seems...
Yeah, it's a thing that could happen, like, especially with the technology we have on phones now. Some of these mobile games are insane, right? And they do...
I don't play a lot of them.
Launch on other platforms. There was a... God, I got to remember what the BR was called. That I got into for a while and really loved it. And then I found out, like, oh, it was a mobile game that got transferred over, but you could kind of tell, but not really. But I think we're at a point now where, like, you can have more mobile games that launch everywhere else that obviously is not going to be the same fidelity, that a modern game has, but like still holds up very well, and you can get lost into it and addicted and whatnot. But no, that could be something that happens. Is it confirmed that the mobile game is Destiny related, or just that Bungie's making a mobile game?
It's called Destiny Rising. That's the leak, right?
Okay,
Gator? I think he had the info on it. He had the article pulled up from Destiny Leaks.
Was that when I stepped away? Did we talk about that?
No, we did. We didn't go into it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just it's a focus on a full Destiny experience. PvP, strikes, missions, raid. Inclusion of a raid might not be guaranteed, but there ain't no way I'm raiding on a phone.
I can't. So I got a 28-inch, 120 hertz 4K monitor. Why on earth would I want to? I mean, phone resolutions are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I have to wear readers, guys, to look at the screen clearly. What do you think I'm going to do on this phone? What the hell am I going to do on this? Even if I put the controller here where I can use a controller to play, I don't get people.
You might as well get a Steam Deck. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah. My son had a Steam Deck. I turned it on and tried to play with it. And I was like, if I was in line at the DMV and I had time to kill, or I'm at the grocery store with my wife and I'm bored out of my mind and I'm just going to hide around the corner and play play with my Switch or whatever, I could see using it, but I don't have time to use these portable gaming devices. Only time I have is when I get home and I'm playing on my PC or my PS5. I just don't get the mobiles thing. I just don't get it. But
there's people that have that time.
Younger players.
Not everyone's running a successful business.
And not everyone has a 4K monitor to jump in front of, I get that too.
Absolutely.
You play with what you can, but
Fudd, like you were saying, for the Destiny Rising game, there's only about 5 or 6 people from Bungie on the staff for the project.
It's NetEase's project.
They're just there to provide narrative and some support with character models and visual references.
Here's how we do monetization.
Other than that, NetEase is the one creating the game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's all speculation right now as far as the mobile and marathon. These are leaks, by the way. They're not confirmed by Bungie.
I mean, I hope it launches and it's really good and it's nothing but NetEase. Wow, swish, no regrets.
Doesn't NetEase like monetize big time? Aren't they very predatory on their monetization? From what I heard,
every mobile, everything
okay.
mobile is,
okay.
okay, 100%.
I can't stand games where you sit there and you'll run out of rolls or and then there's five ads of, hey, buy this package, buy this. This is $9.99. This is $4.99. I'm like, that's why I'm like, remove game. I'm done.
What's that? And going back to World of Warcraft, right? That has everything in the game, right?
They don't take anything.
Destiny, they don't any raid that's ever existed, dungeons, any of that, it exists, amazing. Right? And they do really cool events where it's called time walking, where it'll be a different expansion is the focus, and you can do a raid from that expansion, or you queue into a special version of them where it's been updated to current content, right? And you do enough of those, you get you have a random chance to get a piece of raid gear, right? So it's very good to do it.
Yeah.
And that keeps things current, but you can still go back and I run things all the time for different collectibles in that game, right? But if Destiny, because we have to always bring it around for you, buddy. If they brought everything to the game, I mean, let's be honest, it would still be a smaller game than Call of Duty is. It's insane how much space you need for a COD, and
that's amazing.
Yeah,
100 gigs. It's nuts.
I would. Yeah, it's the last one was 300 gigs or something.
I think half of the memory. I think half of the memory is just graphics.
Yeah. But why? If everything was in I mean, I still don't think that would save the game, obviously. But
I'm
if
thinking
everything was there, it would last a much longer without needing new content. If you could then make your own fun and go back and run old raids and strikes, and isn't the Forsaken campaign gone too now? Isn't that a thing?
Forsaken's gone. That was one of the favorites.
One of the best campaigns.
Going to Spider and creating legendary shards from. I know I said the word, but using Glimmer to buy legendary shards, because I would farm Glimmer all day and then turn them into legendary shards. I mean, little transactions like that. They've limited so much now with in and outs at the Cryptarch. I miss Forsaken. Forsaken was a lot of fun too. Yeah.
Hammer Crasher Destiny's 160 gigs on Xbox. How big is COD now on Xbox? Well, I just so I know the difference.
I think 180 last time I checked.
180.
I guess it depends on what you choose to install. Yeah,
that's true.
If you're installing the War, what is it? The Warzone, the BR. Yeah. I mean, that's on
that's
top
true.
of it.
A lot. Yeah.
I think it was the newer Modern COD 4 or Modern Warfare where it was you had to install everything. There wasn't an option, and that was stupid big. It was insane. But I don't know. It's it's tough. How do you monetize so that you can make the money without being so bad that people really, because gamers are smart now. We're not, there was a time when we were dumb as fuck, right? And we'd fall for anything.
Take my money.
Yeah.
We're smarter now. What's that fine line between, I'll skip this for $1 here and $1 there, and I'm going to spend, $80 on a skin anymore. It's tough.
249.
And on top of that, how do I make my game interesting enough where people want to try it, different enough where it's fresh, but also samey enough where people feel comfortable in it?
Right. That's a good point. I mean, I'm always thinking of the new player, and Hazel used to hate when I get into this trope, but I'm always thinking about the new player, because if Destiny isn't growing from new players, it's just slowly dying. It is a dead game. Yeah. It is slowly dying.
Look at it now.
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination. Now I think it's a combination of the layoffs, a combination of, for a couple of weeks there, we didn't know if there was a future Destiny game. They weren't saying anything. And I think Sony might have prompted them to say, hey, you guys need to say something here. So get your shit together, get your notes together, pull together a timeline or a future map, a graphic showing what is coming in the future in Destiny, because people were probably the most shilliest Destiny player out there. I was kind of feeling wow, is this it? Is this really going to be it? And granted, it's a 10-year-old game. This is the longest game I've ever played in my life. Call of Duty was 100%. A close second. I think I played Call of Duty for 8 years.
But as you had, it was a fresh, different thing. It was a whole new game every year.
It was a whole new game every year. And what drove me to play Call of Duty, not only with my friends every night, because we had like a rotating 50 guys that we would first come, first serve. Whoever was there ran on that team, and the others would get together another team. So you'd play different friends every night. But the thing is what drove us to play Call of Duty, it is repeatable content. We would prestige, reset everything back, all our weapons back to nothing. And we considered it a challenge because then we had to use the guns without the attachments. All of our perks, our silent steps, and our sleight of hand, and all these great perks that you had for gun skill, you would have to earn all of that again. And whatever they did, I mean, they had the prestige emblems, they had the prestige banners that showed people how long you've been playing this game. And then you got the gun camos, the diamond camos. Remember that 500 headshots with the weapon to get the diamond camos?
Yeah.
Black Ops was the best at this. They would give you all these camos that you unlock for every gun. I mean, come on, Destiny. Come on. It's right there. It's right there.
And also, like, making strikes laughable is an issue. Strikes was the big thing. Like, when nothing else is happening, you could just talk with your friends and grind strikes, and you can't do that anymore. It's just laughable.
Well, the TWAB this week, and I'll talk about this to our audio listeners who listen to the audio form of this podcast. I am going over the TWAB this week, and we'll get into that. But they're improving a lot of stuff in GMs and reward tracks, more and easier rewards for different levels of Nightfalls and stuff that you play, which this really doesn't hit me because I don't really play a lot of Nightfalls, because that to me is replayable, but to a point it just gets so boring knowing the enemies are going to come out of the same spot 5 minutes in 5 minutes. Big group of thralls are going to come out over here, and I just know, and you can only play it so many times. But Destiny needs to figure out how to make repeatable content in this game, and until they figure that out, they're going to be on that treadmill of continuing to try to make content, and they talked about non-linear stories and more of a discovery game with Frontiers. That's all we know, but it seems like they're trying something different that gives me hope, but I'm going to still wait and see. But I'll still be grinding for that Legend title come tomorrow on my day off. So
here's what they need to do, right? Strikes, repeatable content. You want to do it, right? Jumping back to World of Warcraft, the Mythic Plus system.
Mm-hmm.
If you never heard of it, right? People eat this shit up, right? So you have your dungeon, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a normal dungeon. You do it heroic.
Mm-hmm.
You do it mythic, right? And then they have a Mythic Plus system where you can go up to, I think they've downgraded it now. It's like plus 15 is the highest you can go.
Mm-hmm.
And every couple, like plus 3 adds a different modifier that your team has to deal with as you go through, et cetera, and so forth and onward, that adds different things that either help your team or or hurts your team.
Right.
And that you have to work as a team together to get around it, which makes bosses stronger. Ads can do different weird things and whatnot, but the gear you get along with that increases to the point where you can just grind Mythic Plus to get better gear than you would if you were Mythic raiding, but you're grinding it in smaller segments with a core group of friends and flying through there. Whereas at the same time, if you're raiding in World of Warcraft, you have looking for raid, which you can queue into, right, with random people, and it's a very dumbed down version of the raid, so you can experience it with lesser rewards, right?
That's a great
and
idea.
You have normal, hard, or normal, heroic, and mythic raiding, right?
Right.
But yeah, looking for raid has been a massive thing that I think Destiny would really do well from, with the small amount of people that experience
10% play raids. I've played one raid, 10% of the population.
Exactly.
What's that tell you? Think how long it takes to make a raid. It's a major piece of content.
And they're incredible. That's the main thing
they are.
I would grind when I was playing, is getting groups together and just running raids. It was super fun.
You would build your power up and stuff so you can go play the raid. You had a purpose to go jump into the raid. Okay, so you remember the Forever 39 days, or was it Forever
Oh,
29
yeah.
days in Destiny
Forever
1?
29.
Yeah, Forever 29, and until you got through Vault of Glass, you would never hit level 30. That's another thing for another time. But if Bungie can figure out how to make not only repeatable content, but repeatable content that we want to play because it gives us good stuff.
Yes.
Even if it's an emblem, even if it's a character, I don't know. Call of Duty puts little baubles on your guns, which I think was the stupidest thing ever. But hey, it's something you can earn to put on your gun that shows a little bit of personality and flair and more personalization. Bungie's always just gone around it the hard way.
Is there, and it could just be, I just am dumb and have no idea. Is there like a raid sparrow or ship anymore that can drop?
For strikes?
For a specific raid. No, for a specific,
raids?
like there was a time you do a raid, right?
Yeah,
and there's a specific ship that dropped
from
that
they
raid.
still do that.
Is that a thing
They
that
still do
happens?
that.
Okay.
They still
Okay,
do it
good.
for trials. They do it for, you can get your own gear from trials, and that's in-game content for PvP.
But do they specifically do it for raids? Like,
Yes, they do.
is there a ship you only get?
There's an
for
exotic
doing-
that you can only get. It's a linear fusion
Yeah,
rifle.
you're talking about a weapon. That's a
Wait,
weapon.
I'm not talking about a weapon.
Okay,
I know what he's
Vantage. You're talking about
specifically-
Vantage. Gotcha.
Yes. Is there a
I'm
sparrow or a ship that you only get from that raid?
I believe
Is
so.
that a
I
thing
am
that
not
still exists?
sure. If
I'm not
there's
about
one for
Salvation.
this new raid. I want to say yes, but I'm not 100%.
I'm not sure about Salvation's Edge, but in past raids, let's think about it. We got special shaders for playing Leviathan, remember?
Yeah. Oh,
Purple and
absolutely.
white.
Yeah, that's my favorite shader.
Callous is Treasured and is still my most favorite shader. It's like a
Yeah, it's
bronze
incredible.
gold. It's just beautiful. So
That's the,
Yeah.
it's like, having a specific weapon that drops from the raid is really cool. But having all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gator. Sorry.
There is a exotic sparrow and a ghost and weapon
you
shaders
go.
that drop from the new raid.
but only
So
10%
we
of
have
only
some of it.
10%
We
of
need
the
ships
player base
back,
will ever
baby.
experience it.
Yeah.
Give
Big-
us raid specific.
I like
ships.
that
But
raid.
here's-
I like that looking for raid idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, it's
But here-
massive.
It's a learning raid.
I used to be really hard. Well, it's really nice because I used to be really hardcore into raiding, right? I was in heroic raiding,
Yeah.
dipped
I was
into
too.
mythic and
I was
whatnot.
very, very
And I've gotten
hardcore.
to a point where I'm like, I just want to experience the content, get some decent gear, and I'll do some mythic pluses to fill it in, right? It's an awesome, you can kind of pick and choose out of the content where you want to get your gear.
Right.
So I can do LFR every week for a chance to get still decent gear.
Right.
It's better than heroic dungeon gear, right? I can experience the content. It's kind of dumbed down, but I can still get the story. I understand the boss mechanics to a point, which lets me go into normal if I want, right? And normal teaches me other mechanics, lets me move up to heroic if I want.
Yep.
And there just isn't, it's just, here's what the raid experiences is, especially with the latest raid where it's very hard. And you had a lot of people returning to the game for final shape. And then we're like, fuck that. That's really hard. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough.
I haven't played Salvation's Edge yet. Mainly because I haven't had the time to put a team together, and I've had people reach out that want to run me through it. But I just haven't had the time to set aside yet to do it. It's just crazy time of year, right, for me. I mean, my business is just going crazy. I'm still behind schedule.
100%.
But yeah, good points all. I mean, Gator, do you want to add anything? You want to say something?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Well,
God, you're handsome.
it's just the kind of thing where it just frustrates me because I know for me it's about the gun. For me, it's about the gun. If there's a new gun that comes out, a new exotic, man, when that Choir of One came out, I was on it, man. I was right there playing the day one solo. I played the first the exotic mission for that, and my God, I went into patrol and started killing stuff like it was nothing. I'm like, man, this is a fantastic gun. I even bought the shader from Eververse because it was beautiful shader that could go on this gun. I had a little silver left. Okay, don't at me. Anyway,
I'm adding you right now.
but yeah, it's just my whole point of this was quit resetting the season pass bar. If you're gonna have if episodes are gonna be something you can come back to at any time, other than running that activity that no one wants to play. What is it? The Vex activity now, where you have to farm these things from the world and then deposit them into failsafe to up your level or whatever.
No idea.
That's if that's the only way I can get my gear, for if I come back 6 months later to play episode 1 and there's no track for me to earn gear, that's going to kill a lot of these episodes. It's going to kill it. If Bungie was smart, they should at least try this out and see if it retains more players. Stretch out that season pass bar, go all the way to level 600 till the end of the year. Why not? I mean, you just add, because when you reach 200, you've gotten everything for that one episode 1, all the themed armor and ships and everything, and then you get into episode 2, then you start getting into more harmonizers to get your patterns for your guns so you can do all that. But more importantly, you got all new gear, all new themed gear. It's probably going to be, I don't know, Fallen or something. Scorn.
About the new stuff for next season?
For the next episode. It's like Scorn.
It's Fallen. It's vampiric. Fallen.
Vampiric. I mean, come on. That sounds awesome to me. So anyway, that was my point, is the fact that the gacha games out there, mobile games and gacha games, they leave everything in to be earnable forever. So when a new player comes into this game and they decide, I want to play Destiny 2. Okay, here you go. You start right here. Red War. And you got to start from scratch like everybody else did in Destiny 2. It boggles my mind why they took that mission out. Of all the missions to take out, they could have taken some of the middle filler crap out. Why did you? I played that mission like 15, 20 times. It just doesn't make sense. And then now they're backpedaling. Now Sony's like, we got to figure out how to rebrand this game for new players. And yes, I understand it's a 10-year-old game, but how old is WoW?
20 years. 20 years.
Are you serious?
20 years.
20 years.
I've been playing WoW for 20 years.
So there you go.
10-year-old.
There's proof of concept right there. WoW leaves everything in for you to earn. It's a 20-year-old game, and I don't know what the player base is now, but I'm sure it's steady.
And multiple avenues to experience every content, whether it's PvP or PvE, or if you don't want to touch either of those.
Enough said. I guess the way to end it right there.